Right, okay, so when you see things like simplify the following expressions, so looks like we're going to be using the distributive law and then adding or subtracting like terms. So let's have a look at this one. Okay, what's negative 2 times x? That's negative 2x. Okay, there we go. But also what's negative 2 times 3? That's negative 6. Okay, so we've done the first little distributive law. Right, let's use positive 5. So what's 5 times 3x? That's positive 15x. And finally on this distributive law, what's 5 times negative 1? That's negative 5. But also at the end, I've still got this plus 3x just hanging around. Okay, so there we go. I've done the distributive law in a couple of parentheses. Now let's just look for the like terms and add or subtract them. So I'll underline some certain things. Right, negative 2x, we've got positive 15x, we've got positive 3x. So you can do this kind of any particular way. I'm going to go to the back end and go, right, what's 15x plus 3x? That's 18x. Then take away the 2x at the start. That will give me 16x. Okay, you can add and subtract any way you want to. You can go negative 2x plus 15x is 13x, then add 3x is 16x. Right, how about this? Negative 6, negative 5. Isn't that negative 11? And that, folks, is the answer. Okay. Now, how about this one, B? Interesting one now. You can do this different ways. I just look at this and I go, right, here's a 2x squared, and I'm subtracting. I'm not subtracting any more x squareds. There's no x squareds in that second parenthesis. So I'm not going to change that 2x squared. Right, we have negative 7. Okay, so I'm going to do it like this. If I have a negative 7 here, but watch, if I subtract, okay, if I subtract this negative 3, if I write that separately, I've got a negative 7 in the first parenthesis. I'm going to subtract a negative 3 in the second parenthesis. So can you see, be careful of this, that's a double negative. That's negative 7 plus 3, and negative 7 plus 3 is actually negative 4. Okay? I'm not doing negative 7, negative 3 is negative 10. This is negative 7 plus 3 because of the double negative. Now look what I've also got here. Now look at this, I'm going to circle this. Can you see? I've got a negative in front of a 4x. So in other words, I've also got negative 4x. I'm writing it in the correct order, descending order, okay? And that's the answer. But you could, if you wanted to, do it like this, okay? So, 2x squared minus 7. Now, supposing I was to, let me just erase some of this. Supposing I was to write, oh, that's not an eraser. Sorry, folks. Supposing I was to erase, well, I'm erasing. Suppose I was to put a negative 1 instead of a negative 4x. Supposing I'd written that as a negative 1 in front of this parenthesis. So 2x squared minus 7 is definitely the parenthesis at the start. Now multiply this negative 1 by a 4x and you get negative 4x. Okay? If you multiply this like that, if you multiply the negative 1 by the negative 3, you get positive 3, which is what I talked about earlier. Now, of course, you can do it just like I did the first question. There we go, there's no more parentheses. All I'm really combining is the negative 7 plus the 3x, which is the negative 4x. So it's just going to be the same answer as that one was. Okay? And I think so on. I mean, let's look at this one. 2 times 4x squared, 2 times 3x, 2 times negative 1. Write that down. 3 times negative 2x squared, 3 times 1. And again, you just combine like terms. Okay, so let's just keep on going with it. Let's look at another page. Right, okay, now then. This is actually just adding or subtracting like terms. Now, supposing you had a couple of polynomials like that, okay, that and that. If you want to, you can just line them up like they've done here, okay, with a nice big old plus sign because we're adding. And that would be it. You would just add them as by the columns. Now sometimes, if you look at 8a, I just like to write it out with a plus sign in between. I could put the negative 2x squared polynomial on top and the second 4x squared polynomial on the bottom and do what they've done in the example above. But I just look at it and I do this. Okay, where's my pen? Right. Negative 2x squared plus 4x squared. You can write this out separately. Look, negative 2x squared plus 4x squared. Okay, that is going to give me, what's that? 2x squared, okay? Right, I'm just going to keep raising bits by bit. Okay, so that's the x squared's done. So again, I'm just looking for the like terms. So the next one I'm going to pick is the 7x. I've got a 7x in the first, and again I'm adding a negative 3x in the second. So I'm adding a negative 3x. But remember, that's just taking away 3x. 7 take away 3x is a positive 4x. Okay, that's that done. So that's the x terms done. Let's erase it again. So now I've just got the constants at the end, okay, just that 4 and that 2. It's a negative 4 though. So again, in the first parenthesis, I've got a negative 4. Okay, there it is. Again, I am adding. What am I adding? I'm adding a positive 2. I'm just adding a 2. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2, and that would be the answer. Okay, you're just adding like terms. And I think that's it. We'll just call that for that video.